Should be going 1 second. All right. I think we are live.
Yes.
Well, welcome, Sandy. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your afternoon to jump on and add some value to our group, to our network. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to dive in with you. And it sounds like you have a really amazing group and you're a great leader too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, what you currently do.
Well, first things first, I feel like that I have to share is my fiance and I think when you and I were talking, we were still in upstate New York. We just moved down to Florida. So we've been official Floridians for a week. So I just have to show everyone this beautiful view where I'm doing this call right now.
We're all very jealous.
So, like being from Midwestern New York, how good this will probably feel. So biggest transition. And in terms of my background, I'm a meditation practitioner, spiritual teacher. I work with a lot of high performing conscious leaders. I call them people who are just very aware that they're here to serve on a larger level. They're here to do purpose-driven work. And in order to do that, they want to lead themselves, right? They want to learn the tools to sharpen their mindset, to sharpen their own intuition, to not just listen to what everyone else is saying and then regurgitate that, but to understand, how do I form a deeper level of self-trust? And then how do I use some of my mental faculties to make decisions to then lead my larger teams, or really to just lead myself. But this work always tends to lead to bleed out or leak out to family and relationships and work and business and all of that. So it's very rewarding. So that's really what I do. I help a lot of leaders redesign the unconscious mind. So all the things that are stored back here that we generally don't think about, we're not aware of, but it's controlling the way that we think, the way that we act, the way that we make our decisions. And I help them to change that so that they could experience a more reality that's defined by what they desire and not so much by what society is telling them. So that's in a nutshell what I do. And in terms of modalities that I use, I studied yoga science and Ayurveda. So it's a lot of Eastern philosophies. And then I have bridged that gap, with the Western philosophy, which I'm sure that we're going to dive into as well. I have a fiance. We got engaged in 2019. Wedding stuff has not been fun. So we're just going to kind of sit back with that. And then I have a cockapoo named Brody, and he's about 1.5 years old. So that's all the things about me.
Awesome. I love it. I love how you said that, leading ourselves is one of the most important things we can do. We can't lead others, even our families, really, until we can learn how to lead ourselves, and the power of that subconscious mind. Our inner world creates our outer world, right? And if we're just trying to fix the outer things without really focusing on that internal piece, it's going to be hard to make the progress that we really want. Yeah. So this month in our group, we're talking a lot about nourishment. What does nourishment, what does that word mean to you? What are the ways that you practice nourishment, either personally or that you empower or encourage your clients to nourish themselves?
Just that word. It's just so it's so juicy and delicious to your cells and your body and your mind and your spirit. So nourishment to me means, so what I typically tell my students and my clients is that self-care is being self-aware. So to put it into very simple terms, when we are nourishing ourselves, when we're practicing self-care, all it simply is that you notice what it is that your needs are or what your desires are, and then you offer it to yourself. Most times we don't do that, right? Because most people are people pleasers, right? We want to please the people that are around us, the teams that we're leading. We don't set boundaries. We don't have the tough communications that we need to have in order to protect our own energy. And it's hard for us to communicate what it is that our needs are. So that typically doesn't feel nourishing. But when you can speak your truth, and when you can communicate your needs, and when you can offer to yourself what it is that you desire, then you're nourishing yourself in that moment, mind, body, and spirit. So for example, nourishment to me on a daily basis looks like being very present, practicing meditation. I practice Qigong as well. I'm studying to be a practitioner right now because it's mind-body integration. It's really powerful stability movements, and basically turns your body into a bamboo, which is, it's resilient and it bends, but it doesn't break. And so a lot of people practice that for longevity. So it's one of the things that I do now. And then just being able to offer whatever it is that I need in the moment, which is constantly going to change. So for example, right now, I was feeling in the mood to just spend time with some girlfriends and have a beach day. We have been in the energy of moving, packing things up, driving down here. So I just feel like I've been, working a little bit harder, and I was feeling called for playtime and fun time. And, I had some girlfriends come up to the area and I met up with them. And, I think to me, that's what nourishment is. And then I also felt called to do this training. I typically don't do any trainings on Sundays. I don't work on weekends, but I think that we had a very genuine connection, and I loved our conversation, and I love the commitment that I felt behind you as a leader to your team. And I was like, I'm so going to commit to that. And this right now is nourishing me.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I love that you include like playfulness and, like creation and just that joy as part of nourishment. Cause I think we so often think of nourishment as, what we fuel our bodies with as far as food and meditation and moving our bodies. But that play and joy and creation and spending time connecting with other people is also nourishment in such a powerful way.
Yes. And yes, it comes down to our basic needs as well, right? So that's something that maybe we just skip ahead when we're so deep in our own ways of thinking. We don't think about, did I give myself enough water today? Did I eat enough food? Did I get enough sleep, right? So those are some basic needs and ways that we can nourish ourselves. And it comes down to, okay, in this moment right now, what is my body telling me? Can I slow down enough so that I can listen to what my body is saying? And if my stomach is growling, then that means that I'm hungry. So I'm going to nourish myself with some healthy foods. Or if I feel like my mouth is dry, then that means I'm thirsty. I'm going to nourish myself with something to drink. If I'm spending time with friends and I'm feeling tired, or I'm feeling, called to have an earlier night, then I'm going to step away from that container and say, hey, I'm stepping out right now. I'm feeling tired, and, I have to drive back home and all that stuff. So those are different ways that we can nourish ourselves. And this is not something that is secluded to only a morning ritual or, those at nighttime or those times when you have to yourselves. You can nourish yourself in the moment while you're working, while you're, reaching out to other people, while you're building connections. There's so many different ways that we can nourish ourselves. Like even in this moment, as we're having a conversation, I'm being super present with you. You have my undivided, full attention. And that is nourishing to me because all of my energy, which could be scattered, is focused into one area. And it's also nourishing because I'm breathing while I'm talking to you as well, and being mindful of my breaths, right? So so many different, things that we can use to bring ourselves back into self-nourishment.
Yeah. Someone commented for some reason on my StreamYard, they're just showing up as Facebook users instead of names. But someone said intuitive living. I love this concept. And that was the word I was going to say. It's just that holistic, intuitive approach of really tuning into your body and what it needs in that moment, and honoring it and being able to set those boundaries with other people and say, this is what I need right now. And knowing that that's fulfilling you so that you can lead yourself, fill your own cup, and then lead others.
Yes. And you know this because you're a mom and you have two girls, right? Two twins. And with kids, when we were kids, we used to just say, hey, mom, I'm hungry. Or when we want something, we cry. We know how to ask for what we need. And that's because we were a lot more connected to our intuition as kids. But the older that you get, the more programming, external programming, I call it, that we start taking in. So it kind of creates this gap between you and your intuition, because most of your mind is making decisions off of what the outside world is kind of telling you and what you think you want, but it's really what people want for you, versus just being able to listen to your intuition when you did that a lot when you were younger. So much of our work as more so adults is not really learning more, but to unlearn a lot of the things that we think, we want.
Yeah. I just read that today. I was planning some posts for February, and then this whole concept of more unlearning than actual learning. It's unlearning all of those things that we've been taught as kids and from society, and how to unlearn all those things.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I feel like we could talk forever, and we're already going on 10 minutes. So,
Wow.
Yeah. So let's, I know we wanted to do a quick meditation to finish this off too. So if someone is new to meditating and more of this mindful, intuitive approach, what's kind of that first step that you suggest to start moving that way instead of just, letting life happen to you?
Yeah. So the first thing is, I always say when it comes to meditation, if you have never ever meditated before, the first thing that you want to do that's very similar to meditation is to focus all of your energy on something that you love. When you love something, when you're in love with something, you lose yourself in it, right? You forget that time exists, like when you're painting or spending time with friends or singing or whatever it is that you really, really enjoy. I call it orgasmic, because to me, orgasms is like, I'm so in love with this moment. I'm so in love with life, and you're just soaking it all up.
It gives
right?
me goosebumps.
Right? Yeah. And that to me, I always say, like, that's orgasmic. So what is orgasmic to you? What turns you on? What makes you feel full of love and joy that you forget about all those things that are going on in the background of your mind? Tune all of your undivided, one-pointed attention into that. And that is a form of meditation. Now, if you want to go deeper, then the way that I would recommend that is by doing a 1-minute meditation. So oftentimes we are afraid of meditation because there's so many myths about it. And I think that we have to kind of bust through some of those myths, thinking that it takes way too long. And, when I teach meditation, I start with 60 seconds. So I teach a 60-second meditation. It's super focused. You feel the profound effects and benefits literally in 60 seconds. And you're like, okay, if this is all it takes for me to get started, just like when I pick up weights to build some biceps, right? I'm going to start with 2 pounds. And once I get comfortable with that, I'm going to increase it to 5 and then 10. So the same thing with meditation and building a meditation practice. It's called a practice because we want to start off with, 1 minute. And once you get comfortable with 1 minute, then you're going to do it for a more sustained period, versus some people who, especially us overachievers and like high performers, we're like, oh, I'm just going to sit and meditate for 30 minutes. And then literally the next day, you're like, nope, I already meditated for 30 minutes yesterday. I'm going to skip today and tomorrow and the next day. And then you kind of just forget about it.
Yes, I totally can relate to that. And I know that, a lot of people I've talked to that are getting into meditation, including my husband, they're like, oh, I can't do it. It's so hard, and they think that it has to be, 15, 20 minutes to have benefits. So I love that you're speaking to so many of us overachievers. They're like, okay, giving us permission to just do 1 minute, and that it's going to be a practice. It's not a destination. It's not something that you achieve.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, just since I don't know how you're going to lead into meditation, what's the best way for people to reach you after this? And I will make sure that it gets put in the comments as well.
Yeah, I know. Did you want to do a brief meditation right now? We could do like a very brief 1-minute meditation.
Yeah, I didn't know how you were going to end with it. And I thought maybe we could just, if you want to tell people how to get in touch with you now, and then we'd finish.
Yeah, sure. So if you want to find me, you can connect with me on Instagram at isandybo. And then you can find me on my website, www.sandybo.com, if you want some support around meditation or just excelling in your own leadership. And then my podcast is Prosperous the Podcast, where I talk about everything under the sun around spirituality and boundaries and energy and everything to kind of help you optimize your health and your energy even more.
Awesome. I love that. I did put it in a separate post. Chelsea gave me all that info beforehand. I'll make sure to drop it in the comments in here too, so people can find it. So
awesome.
Yeah, with that, I'm going to mute myself just in case a dog or a child comes in, so it doesn't interrupt the meditation, but I will turn it over to you to guide us into that.
All right. Well, I'm just going to lead a super brief meditation because I want you to see how simple and easy this gets to be and effective. So first thing you're going to do is sit with your feet squared, firmly planted on the ground, and you can sit at the edge of your seat. If you are like a crisscrosser, you can sit that way as well. Typically, it's just a little bit easier to kind of stay focused when your head, neck, and trunk are straight. So that's the second thing. Just make sure that your head, neck, and trunk are straight, just comfortable and stable. You don't have to be, so military-like. That your back starts hurting. And then once you have yourself in a comfortable posture, you can just simply take your hands, rest it on your thighs. I like to do a finger lock because it kind of just keeps all your energy inward. And then go ahead and close your eyes. And what I'm going to invite you to do first is to begin to breathe. So you're just going to inhale through the nose, taking in a nice, deep, and gentle breath, and then exhale through the mouth, almost as if you have a straw that you're blowing through. Again, inhale through the nose. And I want you to envision just like a wave that drifts into another wave into the ocean. That inhale drifts right into the exhale, like a seamless cycle, and then back into the inhale. And become so present with your breath. If you want, you can always bring your awareness to underneath your nostrils where you can feel your breath going in and out. And become very present with your breath. Listen to it as if it's music and feel it as if it's the warmth that comes from the sun on your skin when you're going outside. So as you inhale, you might feel the cool air. And as you exhale, you feel warmth. And bring your full awareness to your breath. Noticing the mind calming down. And noticing your body calming down. And then just sit in your heart and think about one thing that you're grateful for. And feel it in your body. Allow that feeling to emerge from your heart all throughout your entire body. And whenever you're ready, you can unlock the finger lock. Take your hands and place it over your heart. And just feel the warmth that's coming from your fingertips and receive that gratitude, the thing that you're grateful for. Receive it. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And that's it.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, Sandy. I was definitely expressing my gratitude to you during that time. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your fun and your play this Sunday to spend time with me and our group. And I'm just so grateful for the space that you're creating, not only for our group, but for everyone that you're touching in your life.
Of course. Yes. And I'm curious for you, what did it feel like after you opened your eyes, just doing that that was probably a couple of minutes?
Really, see, it's crazy to me once you start practicing how much faster it goes. Because it only felt like 30 seconds, but I definitely felt much more, because of, like I told you before we jumped on, like playing all day yesterday, all day I've been feeling a little bit of that, oh my gosh, I have so much to get done.
Yeah.
And so taking that moment to just breathe and like everything's gonna work out and time is always working in my favor. And it just really helped like calm my nervous system.
Yes, that's a big one. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I can't wait to tune into your podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great Sunday, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.